side, when I think about mental health, I think of how someone manages their day-to-day activities, yeah, and how they control themselves.
I think for me it's all about being up.
Not being in the right state of the mind.
I think for me it's all about being up, doing something good to make
To me, I understand mental health as a state of mind at a given time. I understand mental health as the physical, emotional, psychological, and social well-being of a person.
I understand mental health as an emotional and psychological disorder.
Yeah, I think about mental health as being someone who is not connecting.
I think about mental health as not being okay. I understand mental health
Yeah, I think about mental health as being someone who is not connecting.
Mental stability.
Yeah, I think about mental health as being someone.
I get it as emotional intelligence. Now I'm thinking about mental health. What I think about is like all about the head. Like mentally it comes from the head, our brains, how do we handle different situations, our attitude. What I think somebody is not being okay at a particular time because you know you have stress. Like you have a mentally it comes from the head, our brains, how do we handle situations.
Are we done yet?
Yes.
Not yet.
To me, I think somebody that is emotional, how someone reacts when they get comfort, maybe when they feel something that triggers their anger, something. So basically, how you react to it, how you measure all that. To me,
Mental health is how we mental health is how we
Then secondly, I will think about how we handle different situations, especially stress and other things that might deteriorate our mental ability.
All right, thank you so much. I think you can hear me. I've also put this on. I think they should be able to hear me. I've gotten two things.
Then secondly, I will think about how we handle different situations, especially stress and other things that might deteriorate our mental ability.
All right, thank you so much. I think you can hear me. I've also put this on. I think they should be able to hear me. I've gotten two things.
Then secondly, I will think about how we handle different situations, especially stress and other things that might deteriorate our.
All right, thank you so much. I think you can hear me. I've also put this on. I think they should be able to hear me. I've gotten two things.
Then secondly, I will think about how we handle different situations, especially stress and other things that might deteriorate our.
All right, thank you so much.
Right, can we proceed?
You can hear me.
So two things. Mental health is different from mental illness, okay? And the biggest percentage of you were thinking about mental health as mental illness. I'm sure very many of you wanted to use the word Butarika, but it was only one of you who said it. How many of you have been to Butarika? How was your experience there?
Thank you so much.
Right, can we proceed?
You can hear me.
So two things. Mental health is different from mental illness. Okay? And the biggest percentage of you were thinking about mental health as mental illness. I'm sure very many of you wanted to use
But
the
when
word
you go there, was it really
what
what
you say it. How many of you have been to Costa Rica? Right, so as we right, we proceed. Yeah, for you, you use microphones. Me, I think my mic is here. It's different from mental illness. Should be the active one running around. We're not yet, so we are not yet there. So at the end of it all, when you go to there, one is there is no health without mental health. And as we take a look, we get to understand that actually mental health is our day-to-day. Yeah, for you, you use microphones. Our day-to-day activities, it's not the illness. Okay? And well, being mentally healthy so doesn't mean that you don't have mental health. Okay? Because quite a number we talked about stress. We all get these challenges day to day. At the end of the day, we have mental health challenges as we wake up, as we go to work, and so on and so forth. So if you're in good mental health, one, you make the most of your potential. And for example, what do you think is your potential? Okay, when you go to this company to work with Watu, what was your potential, or what is your potential? When you went to school, kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, university, what was your potential? Did you make the most out of it to achieve what you wanted? Okay. Two,
Today's weather was interesting, right? So if you woke up this morning and you're supposed to come to work, there's this usual taxi you take, but you reached because of the rain, you couldn't get there. And your boss here expects you here at 8. How did you deal with it? If you're the lucky one and was able maybe to drive and come to work and the borderman scratched you, did you get your stick and go beat them? I know there are people who walk with sticks or drive with sticks in their cars. So did you do that? Okay? And you got here in the morning. What did you deliver? Okay? Were you able to work productively? Were you able to meet the expectations at your workplace today? And at the end of the day, we all come from very many places, different places. We have our family, we have our siblings, we have our partners, we have our relatives, we have the community. Are you able to play a full part in each one of them? So, once you're mentally healthy, we'll say you make the most of your potential. You were able to cope with the normal stresses of life. You're able to work productively and fruitfully and play a part in the community. So after listening to this, who of you has seen that at any one moment we've had challenges with mental health? Or who hasn't? Maybe let me look for those hands. Right? Yeah, and like quite a number of you talked about the emotional health, big number we talked about psychological health. What you need to know, it's your mental health that tells you, today you have a headache, you have to go to the doctor, you're having a fever, you have to do all this. So it's really, really as important as your physical health. And it's our business, each one of us, because it affects us. We come to the workplace, this person, she talked about this person usually happy and so on and so forth. Maybe came this moment you're irritable, you don't want to talk to people. So it is our business. And I think it was amazing that Watu decided to, invite us to come and talk about mental health. She joked a lot that you come sit here because you have a lot of stress. But it's not only that person, but many of us really do get that. And of course, you have moments you feel down, if things haven't worked out, one or the other, wherever. Sometimes you're frightened. I don't know how many of you are afraid of coming here, or sometimes you're frightened when, you're going for a job interview, you're attending to a customer who is that rough one, or who is that person who is from a very important place, okay? Yes, so sometimes like this morning you might have woken up, everything is stressing you from home, but it passed, okay? So for some people it may pass, but this sometimes will develop into a more serious problem, and it could happen to any of us. I always tell people that we have what we call, if you had a gunshot outside, God forbid, what would be the first thing you do? Hide, of course, run. Some of you have the guns, you go and fight back, So it's called the fear, fight, or flight reaction. And what happens? So it's a stressful situation that causes the production of a chemical in the brain called cortisol that causes the production of glucose, because you need energy to do that. But it's also produced, there's another interesting chemical called serotonin. And that's the chemical that makes you enjoy life, sleep well, eat well, enjoy everything that's happening. So what happens, whenever a stressful situation comes, cortisol produces, serotonin produces. It reaches a point where, if you have a chronic stressful situation, the serotonin gets depleted in the body. And that's when you start being irritable, you start not sleeping, your appetite is affected, and so on and so forth. So some people may bounce back. Like, you may have soldiers who go to war, okay? And they're seeing people being killed or their hearts. Not everyone will develop what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. Some of them will be able to, survive, but others may not. Just like in any stressful situation, you're here at Watu in the workplace, maybe your boss is a bit very difficult. One of us may be able to, come through and others may not, okay? And of course, with time, it weighs down people. And your mental health can't stay the same, okay, all the time. For example, it will change with circumstances. When you're in high school, baby class, when high school, you're done, you get to go to university, maybe you're done and you have a degree, then you have to start working to provide for people, or you get a partner, At the beginning, it's amazing, then kids come in, so things change. So the stressors are very, very different, okay? And of course, like you move into different stages of life, it will change. As you reach the point where old age comes in and so on and so forth, and you're wondering, was I able to, self-actualize? Did I achieve what I wanted to do as I lived in this world? And of course, there's a lot of stigma attached to mental health problems. And that's why, I meet clients, and should you say the word Wutawika, I'm like, why Wutawika? It's a misconception. Yet, each one of us faces mental health issues, and once you have a brain, you're at risk of mental illness. So it might be you tomorrow, okay? And people will not want to talk about it. For example, someone used the word crazy, a daru. The person you see, like picking rubbish or street, is like 1% of mental health issues. And like you'll see that your mental health starts before you get into this world to actually until you leave this world. And of course, many of us, we don't feel comfortable talking about our feelings, especially my gender mates, okay? We feel we are the man, we can fix everything. Why should I talk to people? What am I going to do? I'm going to end up going to the bar and taking a drink. And what's the drink going to do? It's going to rewire my brain. What's going to happen? I'm going to get addicted, okay? And I'll tell you, the biggest percentage of comorbid illness in the national referral is substance use. Why? Because people went through things and decided, let me have a drink, it will sort things before you notice it has affected you. So, we don't want to talk about things, but it's really, really healthy to talk about how we're feeling. Remember, who made the statement that the problem shared is a problem halved? Who of you has ever met a random person who doesn't even know you, and they start talking to you and they vent, and after you walk away, it will help them feel better. So that's really, really important, okay? So, what are the mental health problems? Like we've talked about a few of them, okay? From the worries about your experiences, and like I said, it's part of everyday life. For example, how was your day today? In the morning, how did it start? Or in the afternoon, you're making sure everyone gets here when I got here, So this is what happens to many of us, okay? And like I already said, many of us can get over them, but it's also important for us to learn to live with them, because you are at Watu to bring food on the table. You have a very difficult boss or a very difficult colleague, but you have to work. So you need to find a way to learn to live with them. And especially, you need to get help earlier. I know where these people who go to the hospital after things are worsened. You don't have to come to me because I'm in Wutawika and things have reached that side. Come to me and talk about mental health. Don't wait for things to reach the other side, because all of us are affected by mental health. Okay, even me myself, I am not immune, because once you have a brain, you're at risk of mental illness. So you can't talk about it. That helps in one way or the other. Okay, and of course, as you've seen quite a number of people, if you have relatives, friends who have made a diagnosis, you have to make that diagnosis to really make an appropriate way to treat and manage them. Quite a number we talked about mental health, psychological, if your psychology is affected, and it's very common in day-to-day and in the age we live in. I am looking at the age group here. Maybe we're having millennials and Z. Do you have anyone after Z? You see? And it's quite interesting that actually mental health challenges are more in the youth and the millennials, because a lot happens. And now that we're the .com people with a lot of fear of missing out and social media, we go through a lot and we don't want to talk about it. So about 14% of the population, or 1 out of 7 individuals, suffer from a psychological disorder. So if you need the math, how many are we here? About 30? 14% of it, but we don't want to talk about it, And of course, they will say the underprivileged and uneducated population may be more prone to psychological disorders, because you're facing a lot in your day-to-day life. You know, you're not able to have food on the table, some of these things you're not able to. And we'll find that the commonest, like I said, mental health starts before you're born until you leave this world. And you'll find that maybe the commonest, you see them in the middle age. So what are these types of mental illnesses? It starts in childhood. Actually, it starts with when someone is pregnant, what they go through with their pregnancy, when they've carried the pregnancy, how is the support system when you give birth? Does the child cry immediately? While you're pregnant, were you able to use any substances, you know? And when you give birth to this child, is this child having troubles with communication, verbal and non-verbal communication, or they've slowed down? Or a child that started growing well and everything was going okay and they regress, you see? So that's the autism. Children with problems with speaking, with that's verbal communication. The non-verbal communication is sign language. You know, when a child is young and you play with them, they smile and do all those things. To these kids who, you know, in one or the other, they are not able to develop, or they have what we call intellectual disability, so they may never progress. And looking at the different IQs, that is a severe, mild, moderate, and, you know, depending on his level, they'll be able maybe to do some basic things, not reach the level of being able to go to school and write a few things. To these people, actually us, who I've seen quite a number of us have had issues learning mathematics, reading and writing, which we call the learning disabilities that we've seen in kids, seen in many of us. They would always say doctors have a writing disorder because I think they always write badly. I don't know, but it's maybe because they have many numbers of people. To a child who bedwets, maybe I should start by asking, who has a child here? When should a child stop bedwetting? That is fine. I agree. So, what level, what age should a child stop bedwetting?
5.
3 years? Anything? Anyone else?
I think 5.
7 to 9? Okay, good.
I think 5.
5?
1 year.
1 year?
I think it depends on the generation. This generation, at least 1.
So, maybe the question should be, how many of us have seen old people bedwet? About 5 years. Right? Very many of us. We've had family members who've seen this. That's what you think by accident. So that's why we bring in the elimination disorders. So ideally, a child should have stopped bedwetting at 5 years. That's what you said. Probably you read about it because you kind of told us a bit about mental health. Maybe we'll talk about this. A child should stop soiling themselves by 3 years. But we've seen people who have gone longer than that. We've seen a kid who had stopped bedwetting, then you bring in another kid to this world and the kid starts bedwetting. Or there are challenges at home, maybe the job has changed and so on and so forth, the child starts bedwetting. To this child who we go to church, you see how we are here calm and waiting to listen to me? They cannot sit in one place. Or we're in class, you know, when a teacher asks a question, you put up your hand, this one immediately talks, okay? And that's what we call the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. To those kids who are always fighting, they steal anything they can see, they burn bushes. This kid who leaves home in the morning saying he's going to school, carries the bag, never reaches school, and it's time to come back, they come back, okay? Which we call the conduct disorder. To these kids who never listen to anyone who's older than them, a teacher or anyone, okay? And they will never follow what they say, which we call the oppositional defiant disorder. So of course, these kids who in one or the other something has changed in the family and they're unable to adjust to the new surroundings. You've shifted from this house to another. Maybe you had a good job and we saw it during COVID. Many of us are affected. So how do you adjust to those new surroundings? To our age mates, disorders in childhood and depression, which is the commonest, affecting very many of us. But we don't want to talk about it. And it's not like that person who's walking on the street, because we are going to isolate ourselves, they're not going to talk about it, you're sad for most of the day for more than 2 weeks. You used to be this person who would enjoy to go watch a movie, watch football, do something, you don't enjoy it anymore. You start feeling, you're better off dead than alive. And suicide used to be a crime, and I remember when I was growing up, if someone commits suicide by drowning, the body is lashed 100 strokes of the cane. To how it is culturally that if actually have a relative who commits suicide, you can't talk about it. To even the church, the religion I come from, the priests are not allowed to, go and pray for these people. So there's that part of it, not knowing that suicide is actually part of depression. Those moments that you don't want to eat or you're eating more than usual, your sleep is affected, or you're sleeping less than usual. Of course, the anxiety disorder that she talked about. You have those moments that you are afraid of coming to speak to people. Or you have those moments where out of the blue you feel something bad is going to happen. You start sweating, you're shaking, you're going to the toilet several. It's happened to many of us if we're going for exams, if we're going for important things, if you're going to meet the boss. Okay? So those people who don't feel comfortable leaving home and going to talk to people, getting out of the house. Okay? So the eating disorders, we've had those people who, oh my goodness, my weight is so big I cannot eat. They stop eating at that time. Okay? Which we call the anorexia nervosa. To those who will eat anything, eat a lot of food, even after eating they'll make themselves vomit. Okay? So the substance use disorders shows among the commonest things. Okay? The different substances. Using alcohol, using weed, and I'm sure quite a number of us have tried to smoke weed. I usually ask my students, so what was the effect? Of course, you will not tell me, because you think you're on YouTube and they'll see you. But to the weed, to the opioids, to the cocaine that people use, and so on and so forth. To what we call, the other one is a bipolar disorder, the mood disorders where a person fluctuates between the manic episode where they are happier than usual, they do not sleep, they have a lot of ideas, they're talking a lot, they have grandiose delusions, they think they can fix everything. To the other side, where they are sad, they have lost interest in pleasurable activities, and it flips through the two of them. To schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is actually the 1%. The persons you call mad. Okay? The person you see walking on the street, behaving abnormally, talking alone, seeing things you can't see. To the sexual disorders that affect very many people. And the biggest percentage of sexual disorders, especially in the male gender, erectile dysfunction, is because of psychosocial distress or stress. And I know the biggest percentage will tell take sildenafil, take mulondo, and so on and so forth. What it does to you, in one way, you might think it's going to work, but it's because of the stressful situations. Okay? To the personality disorders, we've seen these people who, in one or the other, they think they have better ideas than everyone, they can't listen to everyone, or they're very dramatic when they're talking about this and the other. Then also those who, withdraw themselves. Even if this person knows the right thing, they're ashamed of talking about it. So the disorders during pregnancy, we've seen people who during pregnancy, once you have just gotten pregnant, your mood is affected as you're carrying things, a few things change, you sleep, you're a bit irritable. Once you give birth, what we call puerperal blues, someone is sad. The first 4 days are a bit difficult because it's a new thing that's come into this world, you're not sure about it, and how you get support and so on and so forth, you're worried about your kid. And then we go to our parents, our grandparents. What happens when age sets in? They start being forgetful, they don't recognize faces, they're unable to speak, they're unable to carry out activities of daily living, going to the toilet, dressing up, okay? And also in those who have illnesses like hypertension, okay? So you notice your mental health starts before you get into this world until you leave this world. So, what do you think is good mental health now? The one with the mic. Now I want to ask everyone, what do you think is good mental health? I can have the hands up. You can raise your hands. After listening, what do you think is good mental health?
I'll start. I shouldn't need the microphone. But I think the idea of good mental health is relative because, like you said, we all experience these things, and you can't plan for them. So I would say good mental health is when you are aware of these potential challenges, and so you have methods in place to help you healthily resolve these issues when they do happen. That for me would be good mental health.
Right, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
I think when you talk of good mental health, it's all about how you're going to take the situation that's going to come around, especially in a positive manner. If you're aware of it, and you know how you can handle it, that is mental health.
Okay. It says how you're going to take care of the situation that comes. Okay. Anyone else? Yes?
Just to add on what she's talking about, she talked about you being aware. So after being aware, you need to accept that you actually have it and then seek help.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Be aware, accept, and seek help. Anyone else? At the back? Right. I guess you all have ideas, okay? It's important to know that good mental health is not simply the absence of a diagnosable mental health problem. Okay? For us, yes, to make a diagnosis, you would have a combination of symptoms that have affected your functioning. But if you woke up this morning and you're having a stressful situation, okay, then at that moment your mental health may not be good. But it doesn't mean you've made a diagnosis. Okay? Of course, once you understand what good mental health, and we look at it, it's able to help you protect yourself from development of the different problems I've talked about, the different diagnoses in mental health. So if you're able to deal with a stressful situation, okay, you won't be that man who doesn't want to talk about things and you end up going to the bar before you notice your brain has been rewired. So once you're able to fulfill a number of key functions and activities, we shall say you are mentally healthy. You being able to learn, so at the end of today, what are you going to take from this conversation? Okay? You being able to feel, express, and manage a range of positive and negative emotions. And it seems like she had probably read my slides, but no, I'm joking. I didn't put into this. But she was explaining that, good mental health is you being able to understand, even if the thing is negative, how do you deal with it? Okay? Your ability to form and maintain a good relationship with others. What's your relationship with your neighbor, for example? Is your neighbor your workmate?
Yes.
What's your relationship with him?
Your colleagues.
Your colleagues. Is it the truth or a lie? So sometimes you say everything is okay because you're here. But it's very important, to know having a good relationship with others. You're at that workplace where you are proud of going to work. Not because you have to, yes, put food on the table, but are you happy? Because I've noticed a big percentage of people go to work because they have to. But are you happy? But once your workplace makes you comfortable, you will definitely deliver. Okay? And of course, your ability to cope and manage change and uncertainty. Today, I was going to work, I think because of rain, there was traffic jam. And of course, there was a few challenges. And imagine, people are waiting for you at the workplace. So how did I deal with it when I got to the workplace? Of course, I definitely had to apologize and say, ABCD happened. I will do better next time. Even if I moved an hour earlier, but, something happened and it was unexpected. Right. So like we've seen, one of the commonest things that we all are faced with is stress. And like quite a number of you talked about stress. Okay? But what is stress? Okay? So stress is a psychological, that moment when you're stressed and you're unable to concentrate, you can't remember a few things. Physiological, that moment you're going for a job interview, your heart is beating so fast, you're sweating. Behavior, that moment when you're going through things, you're irritable, you're angry, you're sad. Okay? So it is the psychological, physiological, and behavior response by an individual when you perceive a lack of equilibrium between the demands placed upon you on one side and your ability to meet these demands, which over a period of time leads to ill health. I gave you the example of, gunshot, cortisol, serotonin. So that's a one moment thing. But if every day you are having a stressful situation, maybe in your family and your workplace. So over time, once you are unable to balance this, then the mental illness is set in, and the commonest is anxiety, depression, and substance use. Okay, because you want to use this substance to help you relieve what you're going through, and you think it's going to fix you. Okay, and like I already talked about, it's your reaction to a harmful situation, and this situation is not only physical; it's also psychological, and whether it's real or perceived. Because you've seen that person who thinks something bad is going to happen, you're perceiving that something bad is going to happen. And what do? You run away from people. Okay? So I already talked about the chemical reaction in your body that allows you to prevent and act in order to prevent the injury, which is the cortisol, which is serotonin, the flight or fight reaction. Okay? And like I said, in a small response, it can help you accomplish tasks and prevent you from getting hurt. Because gunshot, small response, you go down, But if it's chronic, if it's there day to day, that's where we have what we call a burnout, okay? And that is accumulated stress. And once there's a burnout, definitely the mental illness sets in. So who of you has ever been stressed? Okay. What caused you stress? Am I stressing you now? God, I'm hoping we'll fix it by the end of it. What has caused your stress?
Same here. Cold.
When clients stress out, office especially how this client. For some of the officers, I'll talk about call center. Most of them get stressed about the clients. They actually, some abuse them. So someone gets off phone and they're like, man, I'm dead. This guy has given me nice. So most of them will be stressed, and most times they push their stress onto the other clients.
Right. Okay, great. So that's called projecting your stress. And I've seen it in people, especially the gentlemen. If your boss is very difficult, what happens when you go back home? You're irritable, you're punishing the kids, you're shouting at them, you're disturbing your partner. So it's called projecting your stress to other people. Yes?
School. I stand you in school. Was it stressful?
Well, not so. But okay, I was stressed because I've been studying and work. So you find it so hard that you're making calls and you receive an abrupt call, the lecturer is in, you're rushing, so yeah.
We have a gentleman.
Talking of stress, I'm really happy to see the borders really had stress. I happen to meet someone where you find something very small that has happened. All of a sudden you hear the person telling you, I am feeling so stressed about this. But you yourself, you take that issue as something that is very light. At the end of the day, you realize, okay, I'm saying this based on somebody that I really met, and whenever the person talks of stress, you realize the person is falling sick just because of the word stress. At the end of the day, the person rushes to the hospital, they inject tramadol, like for some 30-40 minutes, gain strength, comes back, then the next day you also hear, I'm still feeling stressed. Again, rushes to the hospital, tramadol again, then the person gains. So when you talk about stress, at least I have seen somebody who has really suffered stress.
And did that person end up in a rehab because of the tramadol?
No. The person still takes tramadol back now.
Well, I think you reach out to help him as soon as possible. Because like I was saying, that's how people end up, using substances and getting addicted. And opioids are among the things in the rehab center, people are addicted to them. Right. How many of you are happy at Watu? I'm sure the boss is here wants to look at the hand. But of course, causes of stress, one of them is being unhappy in your job. Okay, and I'm glad if you have said this thing to be happy. How many hours do you work? Haven't you had moments you're having a heavy workload, working longer than usual, or you have too much responsibility? You know, you are supposed to, for example, do 2-3 reports yourself, but you have to cover for other people. Working long hours, okay? Some of us say, yes, we work 8 hours, but some of us will carry our work back home and so on and so forth, okay? Poor management or unclear expectations of your work, or sometimes no say in decision making. Do you know how nice it makes someone feel that, you know, they are part of the decisions, they are part of the actions, you know? It's a good thing. Better than feeling, you know what, you're not a part of anything, you just have to follow instructions. Of course, working under dangerous conditions, okay, especially if you're in a place that is very harmful to your physical health and of course psychological health, you know, your emotional well-being. If you are in a workplace where the boss is always shouting, is always doing ABCD, that affects you. Being insecure about your chance for advancement, or you know, you don't know if tomorrow you're still going to work. Because I've seen those people who have jobs, you go to work but you're not sure about the next day. Sometimes having to speak in front of people, in front of colleagues. How many of us easily speak to the rest of us? Okay? Sometimes facing discrimination and harassment at work, especially if your company is not supportive. We all lose loved ones, it's very difficult and stressing. Divorce, very difficult, okay, quite a number of people. Many of us lost our jobs during COVID, you know, it's great to still have a job here. So increase in financial obligations, you're this person who used to take care of one, maybe you thought one baby was coming, then 2 come, you know, financial obligations increase. Of course, getting married, yes, it's amazing, we talk about the joy and so on and so forth, but it's a new chapter of life. 2 people are putting together, how do you handle each other, how do you survive together, okay? Was it nice when you shifted from one home to another? It must have been nice saying, yes, it's a nicer one, but moving to it, it was not easy. How do you park? How do you get there? And maybe once you get there, how is the community? Especially if you wake up and move to a different country. Maybe in Uganda it might be easier. You've moved from maybe Chisasi to Chanja. Still in the same neighborhood, you know, people. Chronic illnesses or injury that really affect us, because every day you have to take medication. How do you feel about it? It's really, really very stressful. Of course, emotional problems like anger, guilt, and low self-esteem. Are we tipping her for moving the mic?
Someone's 1,000.
We shall find it. We shall find the owner. Other stressful situation is, you know, people who raised us reaches a point where, you know, chronic illness sets in, old age sets in. Taking care of them is not easy. And one of the things that help people who are taking care of patients with dementia, Alzheimer's disease is to manage their burnout. This was your mother who brought you into this world, taking care of you. Now she becomes a baby. You have to do all those things for them. So there's a lot of burnout. So it's very, very difficult. Of course, natural disasters, theft, rape, which is actually very common, but people don't want to talk about it, especially the female gender, because they feel, you know, no one understands it, no one is able to support. Of course, violence against you or a loved one. Today I saw an interesting tweet. I think one of these NTV or NBS thing, but I think it's a movie they were acting. I don't know who is on Twitter. It was interesting. I think she was showing, I think, domestic violence. I saw the tweet today. So of course, that's very, very difficult. So, how did you know you were stressed? What happened? How do you know you're stressed?
When I don't eat.
She doesn't eat when she feels she's stressed.
When I eat a lot.
When she eats a lot. Losing weight. How do you know you're stressed? Yes.
My appetite goes down and actually I lose weight at the same time.
Okay.
Me, I lose sleep.
Loses sleep.
I start distancing myself from
Then-
the people that I love.
Distancing yourself. Okay? How do you know you're stressed?
I wake up late.
Wakes up late, sleeps longer hours, yes?
When I'm not laughing at things that make me happy.
Okay. Was speaking the 1K making you happy? I saw you laugh. Yes, okay. Anyone else?
Like emotional outbursts.
Losing sleep.
Losing sleep, emotional outbursts. Okay. Yeah, so all of us have gotten stressed. So what are the symptoms? Emotionally, you become agitated, frustrated, and moody. You come to work when your neighbor is different, you're wondering what's happening. They're so moody. Any small thing, they're irritable. Or your boss today is harsh. They came back to work. Maybe they are projecting what happened at home. Why are you hiding that? Right? Sometimes you feel overwhelmed, like you are losing control of something. Okay? You can't be calm. You can't quiet your mind. Think about this thing, about the other thing, about a million things happening. You start feeling bad about yourself. This person was very confident, but you start having a low self-esteem. You feel you're worthless. Talk of avoiding others. Okay? Low energy, physically. What will happen once you're stressed? Headaches will set in. How many of us have gone to the doctors with headaches? And if you've been lucky, they've asked you before, but usually they'll rush and remove the blood, and maybe if you're lucky, once the results come back and there's nothing, they might ask you, have you ever been asked, how are you doing at home and work? Okay? But how many of you have gone with headaches to the doctor? Many of us, right? Ulcers. How many of you have gone to the hospital because of ulcers? And the first thing they'll say, let's go and do H. pylori or, Then after everything is negative, like, how is everything at home and at work? Okay? Oh. We've seen those moments where you're going for a job interview or something, you're in the loo severally, wondering what's happening.
Yeah.
Yes, the diarrhea sets in, the nausea, pain everywhere. You're wondering, your muscle is very tense, the pain is coming from anywhere. Your heart starts beating so fast, you're shaking, you're sweating. Sleep gets affected. Frequent flu. Okay. What happens with the cortisol and serotonin? It lowers the immunity and you have frequent flus. Low sexual desire and ability. You have your partner who has left the workplace, comes back home, but there's stress at the workplace. You think they're cheating. Yet, especially my gender mates, that sexual dysfunction is really psychological. So it becomes difficult for them to get back home and fix things. Yet they had a very difficult time with their boss. Okay? You start shaking, you hear your ears ringing, you start having wet hands and feet, dry mouth, and difficulty swallowing. I think that's why sometimes they make sure that once you're giving a talk, you have a bottle of water because your mouth dries. That's cortisol produced, that's serotonin, you have to do that. When I was growing up, I used to see soldiers, they were grinding their teeth. I used to think it's a cool thing. But I don't know if it was a cool thing. You have to show everything is okay. So sometimes when you're stressed, you have a clenched jaw and grinding of the teeth. And cognitively, what happens with your mind? You start worrying around. All the time you are worrying about everything. This, that, even the simplest thing. Your thoughts are racing. You think about this thing, go to the next, go to the other, before this one is done, into the other. Who has ever missed a turn or put their keys somewhere and they don't remember? Yeah, it's happened to many of us, okay? Forgetfulness and disorganization. The men who of you, or even if you're putting on something, one of the ways you forget to tie your shoes and so on and so forth, your shirt, you put it on in a different way. Inability to focus, okay? Poor judgment. Sometimes you expect to do something at this moment, you're never to do it. You are very, very pessimistic. You don't think something good is going to happen. You're always thinking about negatives, okay? think, it's okay, I'm still going to work, but I don't think anything good is going to happen. Your appetite gets changed, like we talked about it. You're either not eating or you're eating too much, you start procrastinating. Seeing those people who have to do something, keep procrastinating, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Then by the time you reach the deadline, everything is accumulated and you're actually unable to do it. Yes, many of us have gone to the bars, have used substance. They gave us the example of tramadol. Why that person, he knows because they are stressed, they go to the doctor. And I don't think that's the right doctor actually giving that drug, because these are very serious drugs that you don't just give to everyone, okay? Yes, so you start using these substances, you start using the cigarettes, the alcohol. I've seen people who know someone whose nails are always short, they bite their nails, okay? Fidgeting and of course pacing. So what happens if this stress is chronic? It keeps coming day to day. The mental health problems I already talked about, the depression, the anxiety, the substance use. Most of us have always known that people get heart issues because of stress, obesity and eating disorders, and menstrual problems. It used to be interesting that once we went to medical school, we discovered that we always thought that someone misses their period because they are pregnant. But someone will miss their periods for a month or two because of stressful situation, and once you take the pregnancy test, they're actually negative. We've talked about it: impotence, premature ejaculation in men, loss of sexual desire in both genders, skin and hair problems. I always give an example of if you watch football, when Manchester United, the team I support, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came, he had black hair. Or even Mourinho, everything was okay. By the time they left, things were very, very different. Of course, ulcers that we've talked about. So how do we manage this stress? Because it's very important that all of us face stress. How do we manage it as we work with Watu, as we go back home, as we deal with everyone? The three approaches are important, and we'll go in the details of each. One is action-oriented approach. Okay. This is where you take action to change a stressful situation. For example, if you leave home every day at 5 and you use this road, but now, or maybe you leave home, let me use a better time. Leave home at 7 and you use this road, but found that now they are working on the road, it's going to take you longer. Okay? Can you now change the road and maybe wake up at 5 so that you can do it? Or if we always use the word toxic people, if this comes from a toxic person and you can actually get away from them, can you be able to, walk away from them? The other approach is what we call emotion-oriented approach, which is we change the way we perceive a stressful situation. For example, you have gone to school, you want to pass an exam, and at that moment, because the exams are coming, you have to have prep and sleep shorter hours, okay? So at the end of it, you say, yes, I'm doing it. At the end of it, I'm going to pass, and go to the next level. So that's the emotion-oriented approach. You look at the positive aspects of it. I'm sure it's being looked at, okay? So the last one is the acceptance-oriented approach. This is where you deal with a stressful situation you can't control. There are moments you might get a diagnosis of a chronic illness, or, yes, we are Christians. How many of us are Christians? And when we get married, we're like, until death does us apart, right? So you get into this situation, your partner is very impossible. It's very difficult. But you can't leave because church says you shouldn't. So what are you going to do? You are going to look at the moments. Yes, I've accepted the situation. What can I do to get the serotonin or the endorphin in my body? Can I have moments, maybe I'll go eat a nice meal, or go watch a movie, or go do something that replenishes the serotonin, so that when I get back to this stressful situation, at least I have something to work on. Okay, that's what we call the acceptance-oriented approach. Okay, so as we manage the stress, identify the source of stress. Okay, these are the tips that we're going to go through. We'll look at each one of them. One is identify the source of the stress in your life. Okay, which part of my life is causing this stress? Like I gave you the example, then it was maybe they're making the road, then it's this toxic person, okay? If it's temporary, how can I do it? Okay? Or is it an integral part of your home, work, or life? That the stressful situation is my boss, it's my partner, until death does us apart, I can't go. Or is this stress coming from the outside world? Most of us are on social media, okay? We are always looking at amazing pictures of people. Is this stress from seeing how these people are developing, how they are going to the next level and for you not more? How they're showing they're looking nice and they're posting nice pictures. Remember, none of us ever post bad things. We never speak the truth. So we'll show all those good things, okay? So what are the 4 A's, okay? 1 is avoid the unnecessary stress, okay? You may not, of course it may not be healthy to avoid a stressful situation that needs to be addressed, but you can eliminate some of the stressors in your life. You might be this person who wants to fix everyone. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup, you have to refill yours. So learn to say no. I encourage people to be selfish because you can't help other people. Yes, you're doing amazing work for Watu. Once you're gone, Watu will continue. It's important for you to actually take care of yourself. Avoid people who stress you out if you can, if you're able to. And take control of your environment. How do you do this is, if I am in this environment and this happens at this moment, can I put down a list of things to do so that I make sure when this happens, I'm able to actually attend, okay? So please know your limits. Learn how to stick to them, and that's where know is important, okay? Don't take more than you can handle. The other one is alter the situation. Of course, if you can't avoid a stressful situation, try to alter it. Change the way you communicate or maybe operate in your daily life. Like they are making a road from your place and it's affected the time you get to the workplace, can you change? Of course, also express your feelings instead of bottling them up. And especially my gender mates, you want to bottle something up, and once you bottle it up, eventually do what? You'll explode, okay? So of course, be willing to compromise. We have to make compromises in life at some times. You have to do that. And it's important to create a balanced schedule, okay? Express your feelings instead of bottling them up. Because if something's bothering you with your workmate, with your boss, with your loved ones, you're better off sharing what you're going through. A problem shared is a problem halved. Adapt to the stressors. This is the other one, that sometimes, yes, you have to bring food on the table. The stress is from Watu. What can you do? So if you can't change your stressor, change yourself. Okay? And regain a sense of control. Sometimes you can reframe the problem I already talked about. Look at the bigger picture, like I said in school. It's stressful, you have sleepless hours, or adjust your standards. You might have been this person who always gets A's, but maybe because of few challenges, you're getting a B. Adjust the standards. And practice gratitude. For example, what are you happy about today? Okay, that's simple things like you are alive. The simple other things that maybe you've made someone happy or someone talk to you. Let's practice gratitude. Okay. Then accept the things you can't change, like I already talked about. So some of these things are unavoidable. So look for the upside. Learn to forgive, very, very important, and share your feelings. You cannot control the uncontrollable. Learn to know that you can fix that. After we do those 4 A's, let's get moving, okay? Of course, I know when you're stressed, sometimes the last thing you want to do is getting up and exercising. Yet we found out that physical activity is really, really important, okay? I'm not saying you should tell Watu to enroll you in a gym. A walk is good enough. Start with a short walk, okay? And it releases the endorphins that make you feel good and serve as a valuable distraction. We've all had those moments where you're afraid of the unknown. Out of the blue, your heart is beating so fast, you're sweating, you're shaking. I want to teach you a quick fix. How do you do it? I would like each one of us to stand. Maybe some of you are even still dozing. So we have what we call a relaxation exercise. So how do you do it? Those moments, you're overwhelmed, you're afraid of the unknown, you have to do something, your heart is beating so fast, you're sweating. What do? You take a deep breath through the mouth as you count up to 5. You hold your breath as you count up to 5. You breathe out slowly as you count up to 5. Okay? Let me repeat. We're going to do it together. You take a deep breath through the mouth as you count up to 5. Mouth, even nose. You hold it as you count up to 5. You breathe out slowly as you count up to 5. Can you do it together? Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The final time. In. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 3, 4, 5. Out slowly. Did you actually read or we laugh? So practice that. It's going to help you. I'm not practicing witchcraft. Read about it. It's very important and it actually works. Let's learn to connect to others, okay? It's important. Spending quality time with another human being who makes you feel safe and understood will help you. They produce the dopamine in your body and endorphins that will make you feel good. This may actually not be your partner or the person you're always with, but you may have that person who actually makes you feel safe and understood. Someone who actually just listens to you. Their job is to probably listen to you. Not necessarily the counselor to advise, but they just listen to you. Okay? What do you do for fun and relaxing? Watching movies. So it's really, really important for you to make time for fun and relaxation. It helps produce the endorphin in the body that helps you feel better. Okay? Do not forget to take care of your own needs. It's important to have me time. And like I said earlier, please be selfish. You have to take care of yourself before you go and take care of the others. Because keep your sense of humor. And like she said, when she's happy, she'll laugh at everything. Her sense of humor was there with picking the 1,000 shillings. So keep your sense of humor because it helps you. And of course, take up a relaxation practice. One of them is the exercise, the other one is a walk, the other one is yoga. Important for you to manage your time better, because if you are unable to manage your time, it causes a lot of stress. I mean, that's why the procrastination comes, and the moment you're supposed to deliver, you do not have the time. So prioritize your tasks, okay? Know what's important at this moment and what's important later on, and give them priority. Break things into small steps. I hope the company is able to allow you, break things into small steps so that you can actually attend to them. And the moment you're not able to do something, please delegate the responsibility. The other thing you should do is really maintain a balance with a healthy lifestyle. And of course, eat a healthy diet. Fruits, vegetables help you do better with proteins, okay? Let's reduce the amount of sugar and coffee that we're using. Caffeine, the sodas that have caffeine, the colas, very, very important. Let's avoid using substances. They don't fix our problem. They do not fix it. In the end, they rewire everything. How much sleep do you have normally? So please, 7 hours, 7 to 8. Maybe if the worst comes, the worst 6 hours. Because once you're sleeping, it allows the good chemicals in the body to get replenished. Okay? Of course, learn to relieve the stress in the moment, like I've just already told you. How do you do that? That moment where you're afraid of the unknown, take the deep breath, okay, and use your senses. That thing I teach people to do is take a minute, listen to the sounds of the environment as you look around. That helps you get relieved. If you have a favorite photo, that photo that you feel nice, you've edited very well and makes you feel good, the one you post on your social media and you feel good about it. Take time to do that. Listen to your favorite music. I don't know what your genre is, each one of you, but you probably have your nice music. Tasting a piece of gum is usually sometimes important. How many of you like pets? Okay, hug your pet. Which pet do you have?
Monkey.
She has a dog and a cat. Is it a white puppy? Crossbreed. Important. Okay. So this will really, really help you quickly relax. Okay. So now that we are to Watu, how do we manage the stress here? Because this is what brings food on the table. We're here every day, and we spend more time here than actually with our family. Okay, if you have kids, how much time do you spend with the kids? You know, you get home, it's traffic. So let's promote leave, rest, and breaks. How often do we do that? Okay, it's important for people to do that because day to day are going through a stressful situation. We get time to have these breaks. Encouraging exercising and meditation, both within and outside of work hours. That relaxation exercise can work as you're seated there, and you gave an example of that customer who shouted at you and told you ABCD. Maybe before you now attend to the next customer, can you take a deep breath as you relax and it help you relieve in that moment. Okay? I hope the bosses are here how they are listening as we are doing this, because yes, it's a money-making company like everyone, but let's put things into look at the abilities of our staff, okay, and we'll be able to give them what they can. Let's give them time to, use their skills, okay? Let's stimulate them, give them opportunities to even actually get promoted, okay? How often do you have these moments of social interaction? Yeah? Are you afraid to answer because the bosses are here? So it's important to have these moments that will really, really help us. Okay? Let's encourage people to participate in decisions. Remember I talked about once you are doing something where you feel you're part of it or you made a decision, it makes you feel better and you work better and be more active. Let's encourage an open communication, especially at the workplace, and the tolerance policy and have no tolerance policy for the workplace discrimination, because we are all working together. Watu is here because of us, and everyone has a role they do. So let's not discriminate people, especially at the workplace. Let's engage, of course, external people to come in and help. Maybe this was nice that you brought someone to talk about mental health. Maybe it's going to help. Tomorrow there will be something. Can we have external people coming and having a conversation and helping people? Of course, family-friendly policies to encourage work-life balance. Instead, I was listening to a Twitter space of MTN. It was amazing that they actually say they have space for people to bring their kids. Even their partners, if a mom has just given birth or after the maternity leave, we have space for the kids. I knew that was in Parliament, and one of them said, it's so important that, we should also have paternity leave. I know they give 3 days, 4 days, maybe we'll start by looking for a man then in the future. There are countries that give people maternity leave of 2 years, if you've heard of them. That helps people get to them. So how do we now ensure mental health care for each one of us? We come from different places. We have our loved ones, we have family, we have friends. How do we ensure that everyone has mental health care? Let's connect with others and be sociable, okay? Because people are going through difficult situations. Once you're able to help them, you get a blessing. You're able to feel better that you've made a difference, okay? Let's maintain good relationships and talk to people whenever you get the chance to. That helps that person. That also helps you that you feel you have made a difference. Do things for others, Yes, you're wondering, why should I keep helping? But it makes you feel good, okay? It's good for you when it helps you with your self-esteem that once you woke up and did something for someone, it helps you feel better, okay? And please ask for help, okay? I am hoping that you're going to reach out to help your friend, okay? So recognize those moments when you're not feeling good, okay? And reach out for help. Problem shared is a problem halved. There is no shame in asking someone for support. Let's work on that. And once you make it known in Watu that it's okay to reach out for help, that will be an amazing thing you'll have said. So let people reach out when they're having difficult situations and when they're stressed. Collaboration is very, very important, especially with this company that is digital and so on and so forth. Of course, multi-stakeholders collaboration, of course, to advance the local, national, and global efforts in favor of good mental health. Today we've had a physical talk, it's also still virtual. Tomorrow there might be something else about mental health we want to talk about. Reach out to some other specialties to come in and talk about it. Okay? And improve access to mental health care. At any hospital right now, the regional referral hospital, you have the mental health personnel. The new structure is even so amazing that they've made sure that a psychologist is going to now be at the regional referral hospital, which is amazing. Any of these hospitals around are there with the mental health personnel. Don't come when the problem has reached the extreme. Come and we talk about many things. I mean, like you saw how your mental health starts before you get to this world until you leave. Each one of those can be a topic to talk about, and to explain. Of course, the insurance scheme, very important that the insurance company has decided to bring us here. It shows that, they're supporting mental health. All the insurances are now really supporting mental health. The only thing remaining is addiction. They still don't believe that addiction is a mental health issue. Yes, it's a disease. I'm hoping in the future they will look at it and support people who go to rehabs and so on and so forth. So what are the things you can do for your mental health yourself? You as a Watu person who is listening to this talk today, value yourself. It's very, very important. This thing I also tell, my askari is amazing, my house helper is amazing because they have a part of my life they have to play. So value yourself, okay? Yes, you may be lower than someone, but you're bringing value. Once you go home, you're making a difference, okay? You are helping some people. Take care of your body, very, very important. Eat healthy, ensure that you're doing the right thing. Surround yourself with good people, okay? Let's try to ensure that we don't have very many toxic people around us, because once they do that, you project it to wherever you're going. So let's surround ourselves with people who are good, okay? And give yourself. Be selfish. It's important for you, to do things for yourself. It's not about going to always take people out for a good meal while for you, give yourself. Take yourself shopping, get that nice thing you've always wanted, and learn how to deal with stress. Quiet your mind. Those moments where things are very difficult. Have a moment and relax and quiet your mind. Set realistic goals. Yes, we are all ambitious, we want to wake up and stay in Kololo, have a house in Kololo, drive the best car, but let's be realistic. Okay, set something that is realistic. Look at the economy, look at what's happening, and set something that's realistic. Break up the monotony. If you are used to doing this every day, once you're going to work, you sit here, do this, go to this restaurant, do this at home, make sure every day you're eating this. Break the monotony and do something new. It excites you, it produces endorphins. So do something new once in a while. That helps you. Let's avoid alcohol and other drugs. It does not fix your issue. Like it's given us a real life story. It ends up, rewiring your brain and affects you. Please get help when you need it. My gender mates, reach out for help. Get help when you need it, okay? As we come to an end, let's really learn to talk about mental health, okay? And take a step forward as a society. I'm hoping this is going to start from here. We come from different places. Let's learn to talk about mental health, okay? I'm hoping the definition has now changed after having a conversation with you before this, okay? And we are all at risk of mental illness. I always ask people, who of you doesn't have a brain? No one's hand is up, okay? So once you have a brain, you're at risk of mental illness. So how would you want to be treated? Once this today, tomorrow, you break out and it's happening to you. You'd want to be treated with kindness. So please do unto others what you'd want them to do unto you. Thank you very much. Questions, comments are welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vinay. Do you have any questions in the crowd?
There's a question that side.
Okay, you say that all of us are prone to mental health, but are there certain people who, by their natural default, are more prone to suffering mental health? Or maybe they are more genetically predisposed depending on their genes and biology than others?
Right, so for any mental illness, there are three aspects that cause it. You have the biological aspect, which is the DNA, okay? The psychological aspect, how you grew up, what you face as you're growing up, and the social aspect, that the stressful situation, okay? So, once you get a combination of the three, you get a mental health illness. And that's why even in management, we go through the three aspects. The biological aspect, where I give you the medication, and the psychosocial aspects, where the psychological, you'll have the psychotherapy session, and the social aspect, what triggered this illness. If it was an environment that is toxic, if there's a challenge at home, challenge with your partner, how do we work on it to fix the illness? So a combination of the three traits causes the mental illness. And I usually ask clients when I see them that, any family history, most of us really don't know about it. But one of the things, tell them, so has any of you been bewitched? Has there been any witchcraft? Because that's what you've always believed. But you get to find that it may not actually be your immediate relative who has ever gotten a mental health issue. Years and years back, we didn't know about it. Some people disappear, we don't know what was happening. So there's definitely an aspect of the genetics.
Thank you very much. You spoke about the different types of disorders. I did not hear OCD. Where does it fall? Obsessively compulsive disorder.
Yes.
I'm very familiar with that.
Yes.
OCD.
Yes. So obsessive compulsive disorder is a mental disorder that affects the middle-aged generation. Okay? What's an obsession? A false fixed belief. Okay? And it's that belief that you're compelled to fix it by doing something. For example, if you have a belief that, I just touched this place and my hands are very dirty. So that false fixed belief is you thinking that, you are dirty, your hands are dirty. And what do? You keep washing your hands severally, over and over again. Or you have that false fixed belief that, oh my goodness, people are against me and it's not safe. Okay? You go and keep checking the door and closing it severally. So yes, it's also a mental disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Yeah.
Doctor, I have a question for you. We talked about these different sources of stress or areas where mental illness can come from. However, some people, let's say you're in a relationship with someone and it is very, very toxic, but you want to stay with this partner regardless of the situation at hand. You have tried all the avenues possible to resolve try to make the situation better enough, but it still fails to work out, and you don't want to let go of this relationship. So people in such scenarios, really, what can be done for them?
Okay, and that's where I reached the point where I gave an example of, we are Christians, we are married until death does us apart. So we get to what we call acceptance, that if it's something that you can't change, what do you do? If this is a place, you will still have to go there. So you find moments where you have the feel-good place, that you'll go and do something that will help you, replenish this endorphin or serotonin, so that once you get that side, you are able to have something in your cup, okay? But two, come to us and have a talk about these things. It's also important. it's also important, for getting the mental health personnel to actually come and be a part of it, and help you understand, figure out a few things.
Do you have any questions? We have
Well, two ideas why people don't have questions. Maybe they're very good students or they haven't understood anything.
That's really been a wonderful session. It's been a very, very good conversation, and I thank everyone who has attended today. And I believe the knowledge that you have gathered from here will help us a lot. Right now, it may not be of use if you would help state right now, but in the future, or it can even be good enough for your neighbor, because someone who is in a very, very difficult situation. So let's take on this information because it's very, very important. Regardless of who at hand, be it your co-workers, be it your partners at home, be it people on the street. So I would like to thank Dr. Benedict for coming through, for coming through for this talk, and Vivian for making this happen. Thank you so much, Vivian. I appreciate. And my takeaway from this training is that it is very, very important to first of all pay attention to the signs when you see them, because there are so many situations that come around that build this emotional breakdown, emotional heavy load on anybody. But how to manage that, the doctor was very, very kind enough to share with us how to cope up with these stressful, difficult situations, and also ensure that we communicate. It's very, very important because at work we face a lot of stressful situations. They can come from our co-workers, from our bosses, but how do you manage all these stresses? If it is work-related, it's important to communicate with your co-workers at the workplace. If there is something that needs to be done and you don't know how to do it, and there is someone who knows how to do it, don't keep quiet, always consult. Yeah? Even in QRAC, we have a consultation package. It's important when you're in QRAC, you always seek help where needed. Sometimes you may not be able to talk to a family member or someone who's close enough to you, but you can talk to a stranger. That can be a doctor, for instance. So in case there is need for that, you can always reach out to any health facility with your medical card and you'll reach out to me. Even Rocket Health, yes, that telemedicine phone numbers that you can call and receive help in case you need it. It's very important to follow up on that. So that has been my takeaway from today's talk with the doctor, and I believe everyone has their takeaway, even though there will not be enough time for everyone to say what they have learned from this training. However, I would like to close off this training by saying that I'm going to share a training feedback form for everyone so that you can share your experience from this training and what you have actually learned from it. So your feedback will be gathered and it will be very, very much anonymous. So please feel free and share your experience from here, and also recommend any other interactions you would want. It may not necessarily be about mental health, but you can always recommend what other trainings or what other people would like to bring on board to support us.